Hey faces, how are you today? This is your girl CoCo 929. Thought I would come on a little earlier today and just let's just get into it. What or let's just say who is CoCo 929? I'm gonna discuss a couple of things. I'm not gonna be on here long. I do have a life, hello, but yeah, I'm gonna discuss a couple of things. One, let's see. I have been singing since I was 3 going on 4 years old. I told you I come from also a musical family who have made gospel CDs. We have a gospel group. We have, actually, it's two different gospel, well, no, if I include my granddaddy, we had three different gospel groups, okay? My granddaddy and my great uncle sung with Sam Cooke before he went mainstream. He was in their gospel group. Okay, so that's how far back I remember. Um, there is a song that's on um, the YouTube. It used to be my granddaddy's song. It's called "Tell Heaven," and it's a slow song, and everything. So I think Harvey of the Canton brothers, Canton something, they're a gospel group. Anyway, I think they redid it. It's called Tell Heaven. And so that was my granddaddy's song. Um, back then, though, they didn't really give you your props in writing songs and stuff like that. Other people who were mainstream or who had a little bit more notoriety could take your songs, publish them, and create this buzz as if they did the song. But actually, my granddaddy, that was his song. So every now, well, before my granddaddy died, people used to request for him and my great uncle and my family to sing a song in different places, and everything. So, like I said, um, part of my life was tumultuous, and the other part was, the other side was great. You had one side that was, another side that was great. So, this particular side I'm talking about, there's a lot of ministers, preachers, prophets, different things of that aspect on that side of the family. And just as much as the bad things happened to me on one side, I was able to spend uh, a considerable amount of time with the other side. Okay, so it's crazy, but it is what it is. So, just some memories. We used to, anytime we all got together, and when I sing Fantasia's story, it reminded me a little bit of my childhood because anytime we all got together, whether it be a holiday or just everybody decides to show up over my grandmother and granddaddy's house, um, my uncles and all of that, and my aunties and stuff. Like my aunties have made records. Um, one of my aunties was a well-known singer across the United States. God rest her soul now. Anytime you would hear her name, people would flock and pay to see her. Just awesome voice. There will never be another voice like hers. My uncle, he had a gospel group, and they traveled around the United States. Matter of fact, before Yolanda Adams became who we know to be Yolanda Adams, her and my uncle were really close because they were both on the gospel scene and everything and stuff. And so, I mean, it's, like I said, my family tree goes deep. So, um, we used to, let's just say let's see, Thanksgiving. Everybody either they would do their own thing, but at a certain time, you knew to be at my grandmother and granddaddy's house. They didn't play that, okay? And all of us to get in there, and it would take one of my uncles to strike up a song. I mean, he could be in the toilet in a store with a song, and everybody else in the house, if you heard it, they'll start chiming in and singing it. I mean, you would be outside thinking there was a whole concert going on. Like if you walk past the house, you'd be like, "Who's them people singing?" And we just be in there clowning. We gather in the dining room, and they'll say, and that's basically how I got my training, which I could sing, but I'm talking as far as listening for keys and stuff like that. And they would be in the house, and they would start singing something, and everybody chime in, and take a lead, start doing this. They would remix songs. I'm just saying. So that's part of how I got my start in singing. I'm just different. Um, I don't like I don't like to be out front. I like to back up people. And it's funny because a lot of times when you get so comfortable in who you are as far as being in the background and all that, that God be trying to push you to the front when you're a leader. And that's what he started doing to me. He started, okay, case in point, I was sitting in church one day. I was in the choir, and it was offering time, and the song was, they was, how they play, those of you who go to church, I grew up in the church, you know how they play while you take up the offering and stuff. And so I was sitting up there in the choir stand, I had my eyes closed, and I'm just singing. I ain't paying no attention how loud I'm singing. I'm just singing, okay? This is when I was young. And I seen my auntie had a crack on my eye walk past. I'm like, oh, so I kept on, just into it. And then she walked back past, and I didn't notice that the choir members was looking at me. And my auntie said, "CoCo." I said, "Ma'am." She said, "Is that you?" And everybody said, "Uh huh." She said, "That's you?" And I just looked at her. They said, "Yeah." She said, "God, I didn't know you can sing." I looked at her like, "You my auntie. I play around all the time with y'all." She said, "You can really sing." "Oh, okay. You ready to lead some songs?" I was like, there I go. Man, I can't keep my mouth shut for nothing. And it's so funny. So when my auntie was, like I said, when she was living, she was over the choir and all this and stuff. She used to try to force me. Ain't no try. Let me retract that. Because when she spoke up, you did it, okay? That's anybody. So she was, we got a song. I already know who going to sing it. I didn't sing all songs because I can only sing songs that mean something to me. I'm not one of them that I always try to sing a song because, you have to know who you are. You have to know what your voice can do. But I've always used my voice as a ministry. Even when I was younger, I would only sing songs that meant something to me. So, that's a little bit about that. Uh, Now, let's fast forward. I got pregnant at the age of 15, and I had my daughter at 16. Um, I left the church because, the same people who would like same people who love for their kids to sit with me and all, they loved me and everything. Well, when they found out I was pregnant, they start telling their kids not to sit with me, not to talk with me, and all this and stuff. I became an outcast, okay? And that's why I don't get wrapped up into how people feel, because one minute they love you. It's like Jesus. When he came riding in, on the horse, it was, on the donkey, it was, Hail Jesus, Almighty King. But then, the same people who were saying Hail Jesus turned around a few days later and was saying crucify him. You see what I'm saying? So I don't get wrapped up into what people think. I don't get, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. With me, there's no in between. And that's the truth. I'm so much like my one auntie, my mother's sister. If you like, you either like me or you don't. There's no, well, I kind of like, no, you either like me or you don't. One of the two. And I'm okay with either way. You don't like me, God bless you. You like me, God bless you. Either way. Um, so, anyway, um, so I left the church. And it's one thing I can say, my uncle, who is a pastor, stood up for me. He said, let me say something. Y'all talking about her. She ain't the only one that got pregnant. Only difference between her and a lot of y'all out here is that you see she's pregnant. A lot of y'all done had abortions and don't think nobody know. You done got pregnant, you done went and stayed with your auntie down in the South or somewhere for 3 months, then came back. He said, so don't do that. Don't do that. This is where she needs to be, is in the church. Have y'all ever figured out, asked her why? What's going on is going on. If nobody's asked her why, you can't talk about nothing. And plus, this ain't your church. This is God's church. Always welcome. So I love him. He's like my granddaddy. It's like when my granddaddy died, he was already, even though he was my great uncle, him and my granddaddy was so close that I even called him granddaddy, and I still call him granddaddy to this day. So, and I'm his heart. Everybody will tell you I'm his heart. So, let me tell you what else I've done. Um, I've actually met the Moons. Some of y'all don't know who these people are, so let me explain. The Moons are a Chinese family, or I'm going to say Chinese, are a family from China who owns everything. Okay? Their last name is Moon, Moon. Well, they were having a World Summit for Women in Washington, D.C. one year. And the featured people were the Moons. My granddaddy, the pastor, told the people at the church, because he was sending a selected few of women to go and represent for our church, okay? And he told the head lady, he said, I want CoCo in that meeting. Whatever you have to do to make it happen, she's there. I'll pay for everything for her. She ain't got to worry about nothing. She just got to show up. And so I feel honored because I was the only young person that went, And at that time, now looking back, I could see how God was setting me up for my blessings and different things like that. So I was sick though, y'all. I think I had jet lag that turned into a cold that turned into something that was crazy because the first 24 hours I was sick. My head hurt, my nose was stopped up, my chest was tight. I remember it being a beautiful experience, but that first 24 hours was horrible for me. I was sick and everything. And got there, when we got to the hotel, we checked in and all this and stuff. And then when we actually had to go to the first meeting over at whatever their convention center is, it was nice. But I didn't like the food that they served, but they had to be across the board equal. So when I got back to the hotel, because I left the summit, I told y'all I was tired because I wasn't feeling good. So I left it early before everybody else. The hotel came and got me. And when I woke up, I was like, "Ooh, I'm stopping." So I called downstairs. I said, "I'm sorry." I said, I'm one of your guests." I said, "Is there anybody who can go to McDonald's for me like that?" And um, the people who pick you up, the shuttle bus rather, they said, "Hold on, let me ask." And so the person who was driving the shuttle bus said, "Oh, okay, yeah. Tell her to come on down. I'll take her." Like that. They were so nice. And they said, if you can come down, the shuttle bus, the person who brought you back from the hotel is going to take you to McDonald's. I said, "Oh, great. Okay." So when I went to McDonald's, I fell in love. Let me tell you why. The McDonald's in Washington, D.C. was a melting pot. I believe that's how heaven is because you had people of all ethnicity. I can't speak right now, y'all. I'm sorry. But people of all races, all kinds. Um, at McDonald's, you had Indian people with the dot on their head. You had Chinese people. You had black people, African people, white people, Italian people. And everybody was cohesive. Everybody was getting along and they were speaking and stuff. And I was like, this is wonderful because in Kentucky, where I live at, you don't really see that much diversity. So, just to be a part of that was awesome. So, got my food. Went, of course, this is when McDonald's was McDonald's. Now I don't know what it is. I'm not even gonna touch that. So went back to my room and ate, watched TV, and laid back down, and everything. So the next day was our final day, and so I was ready. I had got my strength back. I'm like, let's do this. So and everything, and I was able to meet the Moon, shake their hands, interact and stuff. And I was like, wow, like it really didn't dawn on me until I started getting older and people was like, what have you ever met anybody and all this and stuff. And I remember saying I met the richest people almost in the world, but of Chinese descent. And they was like, really? I said, yeah, the Moons. I've met them. Was able to interact with them, shook their hands, bowed, things like that. It was just awesome. And I was like, dang, man, not too many. See, because you got to understand where I'm coming from. I am an African American woman. Back then, I was a young African American woman from the projects. And when you come from the projects, they don't expect you to survive. They don't expect you to be nothing. The expectations of anyone coming out of the projects is very low. I'm talking about from society. So to have me, a little project girl, black at that, sitting in the midst of billionaires, not million, billionaires, greeting them greeting me, them wanting to know who I am because they asked me, in your name? Like that. And I sit back and I think about that and I'm like, wow, CoCo? wow, do you understand what happened? So now I embrace every interaction that I have because you never know what that's going to mean later on or what it means now. So, that's one interaction that I had with some billionaires that, rocked my world. And I'm so grateful to my uncle, which is I call him my granddaddy for just making sure that I was in that place. Now he's got grandkids, literally grandkids. He's got, all this and stuff, but he picked me. See, so that was divine connection right there. Okay, so let me see, who is CoCo? I've also done voiceovers for cartoons. Um, I won't say which ones because in order me to reveal which ones, I have to tell you my name. Or if you pull it up, then you will hear my name, my government, and not gonna do that because I don't know what sector is going to support this. I listen to this and hey, I'm sorry. Maybe a little later on I will, but I have did voiceovers for a couple of cartoons. I've done. I was the featured singer on one cartoon. When it comes on, that's my voice that's sung, and everything. And my family went wild when they heard that. I've also been a singer on two records. One record I did for somebody, he was rapping and he wanted me to come on and do the ad libs and the background and all this and stuff. And I was sick. I had the flu. And he called me. He said, "Oh man, this is the only time we can get in the studio." I said, "Give me 5 minutes. Come and get me." And my husband was like, "Say what?" I was like, "Baby, I got to do this. I promised." I said, "Give me 5 minutes. Come and get me." And the rapper was like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this." And yeah, when I tell you I had the flu, I was sick, coughing, everything. So, got up, prayed, washed my face, gargled. I'm like, "Let's do this." And it's so funny because when I got in the studio, I did it the way he wanted me to, but I wasn't happy. I said, "Excuse me," and the producer and the record person, that do the switches and all that and stuff, they was like, "Yeah," and the artist, they was like, "Yeah, it sounds good." I said, "No, it don't." And they start laughing. They say, "It does." No, it don't. I said, "I have to be happy with this too." I said, "You sound awesome. It's your record. But I know that ain't what I want to do. Can I just do it the way I feel it?" And they all looked at each other and started cracking up. It's like, "You the first person ever said that." I said, "For real, if you're going to have me on here, let me do it the way I feel it." So they was like, "Go for it." So of course they kept the one that we made it first. And so when I went back in the studio and I said, "Play the track through first." So they played it through and I'm bobbing my head with the head thing on in the booth. And I'm like, okay, I was getting in my zone. So the next time when they played it through, they said, "You ready?" I said, "I got it." They played it through. I killed it. If I got to say something, I said, I killed it. They was like, when I turned around to come out of the booth, they all had their mouth open looking at me like, I was like, "What? Did I mess it up?" They said, they was cussing and shit, "Mess it up. Man, you killed that. Come out here and listen to this." And so when I came out and they played the first one and then they played the one I had just did. Oh my goodness, y'all. Oh my goodness. I was like, "Oh my God, that's me," like that and stuff. And I was just so happy. I was like, "Yes, boo." I said, "Now that's what I want to leave. If you're going to make a song and you put me on the record, let me do me," like that. So that was the first time. And then the second time, uh, the same artist and the same producer, they liked my voice. And it was a certain song. They was like, we got to get her back in here. So they found me. And it was like, "Do you mind? Blah, blah, blah." I said, "Okay, no problem." So showed up. And I was like, "I like it. I like it." And the name of it was Sticky Fingers. And they was like, "Do you hear yourself in that?" I said, "Yeah, I know where I'm coming in and I know what I'm going to do." And they just let me do me. They didn't have to instruct me or nothing. They was like, "We want you to feel it because we know when you feel it, you're going to kill it." So I got in there and did what I did. And they was like, "That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about." I was cracking up. So this producer got hired by Sony. Okay, so he actually low key produces for Sony. He writes songs and different things like that. And different artists have picked, have picked his songs. And so one day I was on Facebook and he found me, and he was like, "CoCo." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, look, I don't know if they told you, but I'm with Sony right now. Things is happening, X, Y, Z, and stuff like that." I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "I want to do something with you." And I said, "For real?" I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'm tired of being shy when it comes to my voice." I said, "I want to make an EP. I only want it to be 3 songs. I don't want to be nothing big, just 3 songs. And fit me in whenever you can. Because I know, hey, they paying you when I ain't got a Louis, okay?" And so he was like, "I tell you what, certain songs, if I need, a female that I know got power in their voice to come in, if you do it for me, I do it for free." I'm like, "You got that. You got that." So he goes back and forth. We still keep in touch. Just the timing has never been right. So I'm hoping that this year is right for both of us, and everything. And I had another producer hear me, and he was like, "Hey, when you ready, you let me know. I would love to be on your project." He said, "Cause you got that thing. You like that most undiscovered talent." He said, "You raw." And I was like, "Okay, like it." So I didn't trust them, so I didn't. I'd rather wait to connect with somebody that I trust, because to me, the music industry can be shady as heck. So that's that. Let me see. I've written plays. I've got one play that I'm still trying to get put out there this year. A couple of people have told me they got a place for me to do it. Yeah, I'm still waiting. So I'm gonna have to take it in my own hands and just find me a spot and go from there. I have people that has asked me could they be in the play, and see, my thing is this: you have to be able to carry a tune, you have to be able to be directed, and you got to be humble. I don't care how good you are, whatever. You got to be humble. You got to be able to work with people. And if all that gels together, we're going to have some fun and we're going to put out a good project. Um, so I'm like, okay. So, anywho, moving forward. Let me see. What else do I want to say? Oh, okay. So I will share this. I am also a martial arts person. Um, I grew up in real martial arts, not that fake stuff. Meaning my sensei and everything went to Japan and China and all that, and learned the arts from over there. One, he was connected to Bruce Lee's teacher. He took up 5 different arts, and so he came back here, and that's how I learned. Uh, I'm also an expert without papers. Put it like it's an expert with knives and swords without papers. Um, right when we were getting ready to go and get the papers done, my sensei passed away. But I am one. You see them women on the martial arts where they got the sword and they can work the sword with their eyes closed and return it and all that. That's me. And where they can use a knife that cuts you and before you knew you cut, that's me. My sister, my older sister, she's already an expert in it. Her name is registered. She's an expert with knives. I did knives instead of guns. Now I know how to shoot a gun. Don't get me wrong, because I was the boy. I was the son my daddy never had, and I got brothers. If you feel what I'm saying, they not gay. I'm just like my daddy. So like Gigi and Kobe, that's how me and my daddy was. So um, you know, it just is what it is. So he used to take me shooting on Saturdays and everything. He showed me how to load a gun, unload a gun, put the gun together. He also showed me how to manipulate my bullets. So I heard about, I'm gonna give me a 9, I'm gonna give me a this. You can give me a 22 or 25, and by the time I get through with that bullet, it'll blow a hole in you like something else. See, so you know. Um, what else? And the reason why he stopped is because my temper was so bad. Okay, my temper was horrible. I don't want to sugarcoat it. My temper was horrible. I don't even know how I stood me, but it was a reason, because I fought all the time, because again, some things had happened to me and people took my voice, so I felt like um, no, this will never happen to me again, and I still can't get this crazy person from doing what he does to me, because by that time I fell in love with him, so, it was natural, and everything, but my temper was horrible, and it became so horrible, I ain't even gonna go there, but it was horrible, but my daddy was like, we're not gonna do no guns, we're gonna teach you a little discipline within yourself, and we're gonna work with swords, and so that's what happened, and everything, and I learned how to breathe, and all this and stuff. So, it's just a couple of things. I want to get to this point right here also. Um, I don't knock the church because the church is me. Okay? I grew up in the church. Without God, I am nothing. So, first and foremost, let's get that straight. But I will say this. I'm going to tell you something that happened to me. One of my godparents was a pastor. And I used to go over their house once a month or something of that nature. I think one of my sons is coming in. Okay. Anyway, I used to go over their house once a month, anytime, So I was around, I want to say nine, something like that, 8 or 9. See, a lot of stuff happened to me in that year. I'm telling y'all, it was the year of hell. Okay, a lot of things happened. So when you hear me quote that year, it's not that I'm getting stuck. It's just a lot of things happened with me in that year. So, so I went and spent the night over my goddaddy's house. He was married too. They had 3 kids, a daughter, 2 sons. Well, the oldest son was in his teens. He was like 16, something like that. And he used to come on to me. Now, y'all already know I was going through with a cousin, so I knew what that was by now, okay, and everything. And he used to. I remember one particular time, uh, everybody was in his room because they was talking and watching TV and stuff. And I woke up and I went in and I said, "What y'all doing?" They said, "We just watching TV and talking." And he was like, "Here, come up here and lay down with me." Well, his family, his sister and brother didn't think nothing of it. They just thought, because, like I said, their father was my godfather. So you're my god siblings. I ain't think nothing of it. So I was like, okay. So climbed up in the bunk. He was on the bottom bunk. Climbed up in the bunk and he threw the cover over me and everything and was laying behind me. And they was just talking to him and all this and stuff. Well, the whole time he was behind me, his manhood was rising. Okay? I mean, rising. And he kept holding me tight. And so then he said, okay, whatever we was watching and acting stupid and stuff, and I'm still trying to move a little bit, he's holding me tight so I can't move. So they like, well, his sister was like, I'm going to go do whatever she was going to do. But I know she left out. The brother was like, I'll be back. I'm going to walk to the store. I do remember that. My godfather and his wife wasn't home. Okay? So that left me and him in that room. He's like, yeah, shut my door. We're going to lay in here and watch TV. So they shut the door. So he locked the door. Okay? So when he locked the door and everything, he was like, he's like, you come on, lay back with me. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go. He's like, girl, get on over here. So, okay, I get on over again. He's, like I said, 16, maybe going on 17, something like that. So I get over again and I'm laying down and he scoops me real close to him again. And when he scooped me real close to him, then he was like, I want you to do something for me. I said, what? Like, he said, I want you to touch this. Y'all know what this is without me getting into it. And I was like, he said, for real, go on. He said, I ain't going to say nothing. He said, this is our secret. He said, you do it, I'll let you out. I'm like, okay. So I touched it. He said, no. So he put my hand around it. And I mean, he was blessed. I can say that now. Back then, it was scary. Put my hand around it and everything. And he was like, okay, now do this. And so he was teaching me what to do and all this and stuff, and it was just weird. And the whole time when I was doing that, he kept touching me in my spot. His finger didn't enter me or nothing. He just kept touching me in my spot. Next thing I knew, of course, he, release yourself and everything. And then he kissed me. He said, thank you. And so he opened up the door and let me out. And so every time that we were alone and stuff like that, that it always happened, and stuff. And I never did tell my godfather because, I had already tried that with my cousin and it backfired on me. I got blamed. Nobody listened to me. So, hey, once you have something like it happen and you do what adults say, which is tell somebody and then they don't believe you, they don't even investigate if it's true or not, you learn how to just shut your mouth. So that's what I did. I never told, So I didn't release that until I wrote my book. When I wrote my book, I put that in the book, and I changed the names to protect the guilty. You know how people say, I changed the name to protect the innocent. No, I changed the name to protect the guilty, because I don't want to, cause nobody to be looked at sideways. That's not what that was about. I've been on, thank you, God. I've been on different radio shows as well, too. Was interviewed, especially when I did my first book. I was interviewed with different radio stations in regards to, my book, some snippets from my book, and how did I come up with the title and everything and stuff like that. So I was actually blessed to be able to tell part of my story to help other people. A couple of people listened to me, and even men was calling in to the radio station like, ma'am, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm grateful that you said it because I got a daughter, and I'm going to start asking my daughter these different questions. One person called in and said that they asked their child, like they called them in right then, called her in and said, did such and such a, did anything, and said the child to start crying. So, they was like, I want to thank you because this just happened. I just asked my daughter, and she just broke out crying like, yes, blah, blah, blah. So, that's why I said I try to use my platform for what I want to use it for. It may not be for everybody, and I get that, and that's good. But whoever it's for, got to make sure these people line up and, want to hear what I got to say. So, yeah, I was so grateful to be able to be on a national platform, like the radio station and all that and stuff, to just give a voice to and give a face to someone who has survived, is more than a conqueror, or who has survived rape, molestation, abuse, and all that stuff. I have a role model. I have several, but this one particular person, her name is Stormy Wellington. Stormy Wellington, when I tell you she's awesome, she used to be a stripper too. Now she's a millionaire. Okay, I met Stormy when I used to sell artist products. She was my upline, and ever since then, me and Stormy connects at least once a month or once every other month, and she gives me words of wisdom. She gives me pearls of wisdom. And she's younger than me. She's in her 30s or whatever, but it don't necessarily mean because you're older that you know everything. That, I never got that. So, but I admire her for how she's brought herself from one stream to another. And a lot of times, see, I'm like this. I'm not afraid to step out on different adventures, but my husband is a solid guy, meaning we were supposed to have been out of our state a long time ago, but my husband is like, well, this, that, and the other. And so when he went in the hospital not too long ago, we was talking, and he was like, babe, I feel like I held you back to a certain extent, and it did because I had to pick between, do I go ahead and step out and do this, or do I support my husband in my marriage and we do it together? So, that was a decision that was presented before me, at what cost. So I figure this, whatever's meant for me to have, I'm going to have regardless. So it may take me longer because sometimes you miss opportunities and God has to bring those around again, but I wouldn't change my marriage for nothing. Not at all. So I said all that. I told you about the preacher's son to say, okay, I thought I saw you, cat. You're gonna be homeless. I keep telling you. Stay out of my blinds. You done tore one. I gotta replace. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm back. Because you think that your child is safe with the people that you're safe with. That's not all the way necessarily true. I always say investigate, investigate, ask questions, investigate, investigate, ask questions, ask questions. Um, it's nothing wrong with asking questions. At least the child would say, "My mama gonna ask me, or my daddy gonna ask me." You know, they gonna make sure that they ask me if anything went on with me. You know. So, who is this texting me? Okay. So anyway, um, just to let y'all know that, because when I told my mama about it, she cried. Like a whole lot of stuff. Like my mama got my book and couldn't read it. She said she read the first chapter and she hasn't read the rest of it at all. She said she can't bring herself to read it because it makes her feel and makes her know that somewhere along the line when it came to me, she dropped the ball. Because she should have known what people was doing to me and she didn't. So it's hard for her to see what I went through and the fact that she did not protect me like a mom's supposed to. I don't blame my mother. I used to, but I don't blame her anymore. I'm too mature for that now, you know, and everything. So um, we're good. That's my good Judy. That's what I call her. I said, girl, you my good Judy, girl. You know. And so, let's see. How did I become a stripper? That's a question that I've been getting. Okay. I think I touched on this. A little bit. I was always a dancer, okay? I mean, really dance. Like, um, I told you that my heritage rather, is diversity. I have 4 different races mixed up in me, and with the African blood, and sometimes because okay, one day I was dancing, and this lady who teach African dance saw me dancing, and she said, "Whoa," she said, "Are you Trinidadian or anything like that?" And I started laughing, and I told her, you know, my story. And she said, "I can tell because when you dance, you tell a story." She said, "I'm sitting here and my mouth was like open." She said, "You tell a story." And I said, "Yeah, that's what that's what they say and stuff." I said, "But it used to be my favorite pastime, y'all. It's dancing. They used to like, I don't know, get me through some rough nights. I would put on some music and I would just dance. And by the time I danced, I was good." Um, so because I was a great dancer and everything, and when my boss took an interest in me the way that he did, and I told him, I can't work in XYZ at the same time, so he told me to quit my job, and that he would take care of me. We made an arrangement, and voila, stripper was born. And it became so lucrative to me. It became so lucrative to me that I had a couple more clients, but all I did for them was dance. Now my boss is kind of we treaded in a place that we really shouldn't have went, but we did. Um, I end up engaged to him and everything, and like I told y'all, he's an ex-CIA agent, from Utah and all this and stuff. So yeah, the money was very lucrative. I would have checks. I would have checks in my drawer that I hadn't even cashed, honey, because the money was. If I had that money today, I would know I would do better with it. Back then, it just didn't matter. It didn't. It just didn't matter. So, but that's how I became. That's how I became a stripper, and everything and stuff. I had one of my financiers was a truck driver, and I met him at the club with my girls and everything, and I was dancing, and like I said, I was so good of a dancer that they would clear the floor and just watch me dance. Like the club would just clear the floor and watch me dance, and any dude who could dance real good would come and try to dance with me. Sometimes that I would have 2 dudes I'm dancing with, I would shut them down. And so one particular night at this club, I was dancing with this guy, and he bought me a drink. I used to drink. It's called Screaming Orgasm. If y'all never seen it, go look it up. It's really a drink called Screaming Orgasm. Seriously, it's good too. Woo. And he was like, I ain't never heard of that drink. I'm like, I know a whole lot of black people haven't. Trust me, it is a drink. When you go to the bar, ask them for a screaming orgasm. And he said, they knew exactly what I was talking about. I said, yeah, yeah. So we danced again and everything. You know, he was telling me what he did for a living and all this and stuff. And he was like, you know, if it wasn't for a little bit, I would ask you to dance for me. I'd pay you. I said, well, that's my side hustle. I said, if I dance for you, you're going to have to pay me. I got responsibilities. And he looked at me. So we still on, you know, we on the dance floor talking and stuff. And he's looking at me. I'm looking at him like I ain't blinking. I'm serious. You know, like that. So he gave me his card. He was like, anytime he's in town, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And that's what happened. Anytime he was coming in town, you know, and everything, he would call me, let me know who he was and all this and stuff. And I would give him a time. And like it, he paid me. Paid me good money, too. Truck driver money. You know, I ain't cheap. Never been cheap, you know. And everything. Like I said, I had responsibilities, you know. I'm sorry everybody else, you know, did whatever, but I had responsibilities. So, and I don't regret what I went through. I don't regret what I've done. It is what it is, you know. So that's basically how that went on. And what else do I want to say real quick? Just be mindful, you know. Just be mindful that when your spirit or you feel something ain't right, to go with that. Investigate it until it's proven that you're wrong. Okay? A lot of times we say, it's just, I must be just, it's just my thought. I don't know why I'm thinking like it. I'm going to just ignore it. And when you ignore it, you end up worse off because you didn't pay attention to that nagging thing that was inside of you. Excuse me. That was inside of you saying, hey, hello. So don't be so quick to shrug it off. You know, it's your discernment that's kicking in. I am an advocate for kids, not legally, but I open up my voice and I tell what I've been through and all this and stuff to protect people from going through that. One of these times I'm going to tell you some stuff about a couple of my kids as well, and how I had a wake-up call, you know. What else? What else? Anyway, I just wanted to say that and just give you guys a little bit insight about who I am and some things that I've been through. I really don't have a bad story. I've had bad things to happen to me, but because I survived it, I conquered it, and I'm still here, it's not a bad story. It was a bad situation. And that's how I look at it. Every day that the Lord allowed me to wake up and breathe and all this and stuff, I don't have no sad story. So I always tell people, don't feel sorry for me. You know, don't feel sorry for me. Just learn from me. You know, if people say, I'm sorry that you went through what you went through, okay, that's different. I'm talking about people saying, you poor thing. No, can't receive that. I don't receive that. So, you know, but as long as I can, I will sound the alarm. There is, you know, a lot of things to be spoken on. And let me tell you something. Stop assuming everybody's channels is going to be the same thing. You know, everybody's channel is not the same thing. It's just not. It's just what appeals to you, you know. And I always tell people, if you know somebody who can learn from something that I'm saying, invite them to my channel. You know, tell them you need to check this lady out. You know, she keeps it straight up, no chaser. You know, the only way I can do is to tell you what I've been through and what I have observed. I can't tell you about somebody else. You know, I mean, they may have did it or they may have went through it, but I can honestly tell you about me. Let me see. So that's basically all I want to say right now. I don't know if I'm going to come back on later or not. But just, you know, when in doubt, check it out. That's all I'm going to say. When in doubt, check it out. Because a lot of times, that's the inner you telling you something's wrong. Something's wrong. And a lot of times you ignore it. Like, I don't know what I'm thinking. It's something I watch. It's something. No, when in doubt, check it out, okay? Uh, so, and if anybody have any questions for me, or if you want to know anything, let me know, and I'll make it one of my videos that I talk about to help you guys out. Cause see, this is a thing, and if me talking about God bothers you, avoid my station. I'm telling you now. But this is one thing I promised God: whatever He had delivered me from, I would tell it. Okay, that it may help someone else. So that's why I'm so candid about everything I've been through, because I've been through it. It's over. Why be ashamed to tell it? Why? You know. So, and plus it keeps me free, and it keeps my mind solid. It keeps me on the right track, if I can say. But there's one thing I want to leave you guys with. Make sure that every day you do something for you. Make sure that every day you do something that makes you happy, that gives you joy. Because let me tell you something. In this world that we live in, especially with this virus, this, they say it's going around, because I'm telling you, I ain't going to get started on that. I'll wait and make it another video. But do whatever you can to make you happy. If playing old school brings you back to a place in your life where you are happy, play your old school every day as much as you want to. Because fear brings stress. It brings on cancer. It brings on a whole lot of things in our body, okay? So you have to learn how to laugh in the midst of chaos. You have to learn how to relax and breathe in the midst of chaos. Make sure you drink your water. Spring water is best. Spring means life, so make sure you get that in. Make sure you move a little bit, just to keep your body activated. So I'm just telling you that how to go through this situation, because every time you turn on the TV, you're going to see something negative. And now on Facebook, it's becoming even worse. And then if you top it off with YouTube and what all these haters be saying about one content and all this, it takes your strength. It makes you feel like, it's just taxing. It's just chaotic. And I don't know about y'all, but, I can't keep all that in my spirit. I have to have my spirit free. I cannot. I'm trying to can with you, but I cannot. So, again, I'm ready to get out of here. Y'all see my URL on your ass? So, you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And again, thank you so much for all my subbies. And if you aren't a subby, but you like what you hear, please subscribe, like, and share. All right. This is CoCo 929. Smooches.